Alright, F-150 owners, we've got an airbag light to diagnose today, and this problem, which is lamp flash code 27 or DTC B1884, which is basically the pad light is not coming on, and the module's not seeing a voltage drop, and that is part of the restraint module warning system. So it needs to work, and otherwise it will set a DTC and give you a lamp flash code. The pad indicator is the passenger airbag deactivation switch light on here. Now this problem is pretty common, especially if you have higher mileage, which I assume these vehicles are getting now that they're on an age. The F-150s in 04, when they got the redesign, it went above the radio and was a warning light, and that one still had the same fate basically, and I'll have a little clip of that to show you how that one looks. So the same thing applies to the 05 to 08s, just theirs is above the radio right here, and it's still the passenger airbag off lamp, and these go out too, same as the old ones, and it'll set the same code. And when you turn the key on, it should prove out like that no matter what. If someone's sitting in the seat or not, it'll prove out like that. And every time, no matter what. So that if you got that code and then you're cycling the key and it's not proving out, that right there tells you either it's disconnected, which can happen when they pull this trim panel off if someone's been in there messing around, or like I said, it's pretty common still for these new ones, even the 04 to 08s to go out also. Alright, so down here by your temp gauge for your engine, bottom right hand corner of the cluster, we got the airbag warning light, and you turn the key on and it should go solid for a couple seconds while it checks everything, and then when everything's okay, it'll just go out. If it doesn't, and it has a problem anywhere in the system, it will start flashing. It's checking. It's found a fault. 1, 2. Pause. Pause again, and it'll repeat. Probably like twice. It'll repeat 2-3 times, and then it'll just go solid after that. Alright, so now we've proved out the light and it's throwing the lamp flash code 27. What we're going to do is we're going to go after the circuit on here and we're going to test it. We're going to test it without any special tools, no test lamps, no multimeters, nothing. First thing we need to do is pull this trim panel off. This one comes off very easy. You're very lucky, and no trim tools needed. And you just start grabbing it with your fingers. You won't even mar anything up, and work your way around. And it comes out nice and simple. And then for this wire right here, there's a connector on the back side of that pad switch that we're going to test. And you just unclip that, press it on the tab, and we can lay the rest of this trim panel down below here. Now we're going to test the 2 wires that loop through that light bulb inside that pad switch. I'll show you a nice close-up view here. You can see those terminals on the light bulb. All I did was flatten them out, and then I widened them up a bit so they'd stick in the socket. And then I stuck it in the socket there, the 2 terminals down there down below. And you can see the colors here. You can see it's purple with the orange stripe, and then the one right next to it is straight brown. It's in there, and now we're going to turn the key on. And you'll see it's going to light up, it's going to prove out, and we'll know that whole circuit can handle the amperage and that circuit is complete. And the problem must be inside the pad switch. So I'm going to turn the key on now. It'll prove out. Everything checks out okay. and then it'll turn it off. Now what you're going to get in the cluster here is still going to be flashing because that circuit's open for the actual pad switch inside there. The light bulb works now, but not the pad switch because it's disconnected. So what you're going to get now is a lamp flash code 25. There it is, 25. Now to get this switch off of here, it's very simple. It's a special size bolt. I think one of the standard sizes fit it. But in metric, it's 5.5 millimeters. And there's 3 bolts. There's 2 here. And then there's one on this side, a bolt hole right there. I took it out already. And then this whole thing will come off. And this is how it's changed out. When you get the new one, it'll be all one assembly like this. Now, unfortunately, if that does work, you diagged it correctly. That's the good part. Unfortunately, this little pad switch comes as an assembly, and it's $116 right now. They're still available. If you're crafty and you could solder, it's your own vehicle. You can. This is how it looks. It's very simple. Couple resistors and the terminals here, and then the bulb itself is just soldered to the board. It's really easy to solder and unsolder, and you can get a new bulb on there. It's an incandescent bulb. It's not a LED, and then it has a little slip cover for it right here. It'll fit nice and snug on there, so you'll be able to take this, desolder the bulb, or you can take the cover off and bring it with you and try to match up one. And it has little, just make sure it has little terminals like that, and it's incandescent, and you'll be able to solder that back in with the right length like that. Fairly easy. You can easily fix it, or you can buy a new switch. It's up to you. So that's about it. I just wanted to go over the quick test you can do to test this out, because it is common all the way up to 2008, and on those, it's actually even simpler because the terminal, the connector that connects into the prove-out light, the pad light, is only 2 pins. You just stick it in, the light bulb in there and test it. It's the same thing. This one just has the other 2 pins for the pad switch itself. If you don't want to diagnose this, what I can tell you is that I've never seen a wiring fault, even on these older F150s. On the newer ones, same thing, never seen a wiring fault. It's always been the pad indicator light bulb. It's incandescent, it's got a filament in it, and it's prone to burning out over time, vibrations, all that stuff, just like any other incandescent bulb. So you can go 1 or 2 ways about fixing this. Replacing that pad switch, it comes as an assembly, because the bulb is soldered to the board. For about $116, they still sell them. Or you can solder that new bulb in like I showed you earlier. It's really up to you and what kind of condition the vehicle's in. This will not disable anything on the vehicle as far as airbags. It's only part of one of the checks that the RCM has to go through, and if it finds any faults, I believe by federal law, they're supposed to, flash that, start flashing codes for you in the cluster. I hope this has demystified this code just a bit. No one really likes to go into the airbag system, and rightly so. It can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, but this is a very simple part of it, and a very common problem with it, and there's no danger involved here. So we can go ahead and test it and get it fixed without ever having to rely on someone else.